When I think about unmet expectations of the month of August, I feel like it's just a bundle of unmet expectations of the year so far. This is September 1st. This year has been a year where everyone's limits have been tested. And I'd like to talk about that and talk about anxiety, talk about fear, and hope. Yeah, hope. Hey, my name is Kamga, and my introduction is a work in progress. So far, I just consider myself a dude who moved to the US 2 years ago and is working on building a life where he doesn't have to get a job. Which, if my employer was listening to this right now, they'd probably feel mildly annoyed. But the point is, I love to write, I love to talk about books, I love to talk about things, like many things. I think I have too many interests, and this channel is probably a representation of how confused my mind is. But hopefully, it's going to be better in the future. And if this is the first time we're meeting, thank you first of all for clicking on the video, because the thumbnail probably looks like something strange. And secondly, I would like you to subscribe to the channel. I would like you to subscribe to the channel because I am working on changing my future by bringing to the world everything that I know. And if you're a returning subscriber, it means a lot to me that you've been sticking with me, even though I've been probably not publishing for the past 2 weeks. And I hate YouTube apologies. The whole, I'm sorry I haven't been posting for the past 2 weeks, I haven't been posting for the past week. Dude, life happens. I've had a very tough couple of weeks and I couldn't post any videos. So thank you for staying with me. You're the MVP. You really are. Unmet expectations. Like the term implies, it means expectations that were unmet. And just off the bat, having expectations is a bad way to live. Let's just put it out there. If you live life expecting things to happen in a particular way, you are almost always certain to be disappointed. And I felt that the whole year. I mean, who knew at the end of 2019 that their year was going to look like what we have right now? Who knew that America was going to be what it is? Who knew that so many people were going to die, both from COVID and others? Like, who knew anything? Like, if you start off the bad with expectations, I feel like that's something that I was thinking about when I was thinking of, okay, let me write a list of the expectations that I had and how to denominate. I just realized, like, yo, what were you thinking? Like, why would you even put these things on the list? Like, why would you set yourself up for failure, basically? And I think there's a difference between expectations and, goals, like measured, calculated risks, things that you actually plan, you have action steps, you have, you break it down in a way that allows you to move forward. And a lot of the things that I feel about the things that I haven't been able to meet from August and the year were just unmet. Like things like, for example, having a baby. Like that's a big one that I think probably you're watching this, and if you know me personally, you know that I'm married, and I can't even talk about this in that video because it's a whole other ball game, and it's a whole other ball game that is actually very, very painful. Not painful in the sense of, I don't even know how to put it in words. Just side note, in that particular aspect, I would like to make a particular video to talk about it. I'm still processing it. It's been a couple of months. I'm processing what's been going on through this process, and I'm honestly not ready to talk about it. I want to talk about it. I know it's important for me to talk about it, but I just can't right now, and I know that I will. So let's just put a pause there. That was the first one. And if you're watching this, I would like to know, just in the comment section, on a range of 1 to 10, how would you say this year has been for you in terms of success, in terms of happiness, joy, things that you wanted, things that you're expecting? Like, what? Just go down there, put a number. It could be 4, it could be 10, and by the end of this video, I'm going to give my own number and tell you why I feel the way I feel about that. And the second biggest, I'll say, unmet expectation for me was in terms of financially speaking. I didn't really set any goals, but I just had this feeling that I was going to make more money on a side income, on my side hustle, medium, freelance podcast editing, and I didn't do that. And I think because I did not actually put the steps to get there. In fact, the more I talk about this unmet expectation, the more I realize that the difference between expectations and goals is really those steps. That without those steps, without those contingency plans, expectations are just waiting to disappoint us. And it's been a very weird period, and my thoughts are really confused and lost around this thing, because this morning in a WhatsApp group, a friend, Marie, sent voice notes where she was scared and worried about what's happening in Bamenda. And yesterday I was listening to my friend Anne-Marie where she was talking about a podcast about how when things happen in America, she was basically quoting Dima Omer, who's on my screen right now, that when things happen in America, the whole world hurts. And then Befun Anne-Marie went on to give a list of things that happened in Senegal, police brutality in Senegal, other things. And she kept clarifying, like, I'm not saying that, she kept saying that she's not saying that we should stop thinking about the other places. But the question is, why is it that when things happen in America the way they do, everybody talks about it? The hashtags, the conversations, the Tuesday blackouts. And then when I thought about, I was listening to that yesterday, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then this morning I heard this voice note from a friend in Bamenda, and I realized that this has been going on in Bamenda, in the southwest and northwest regions, for over 4 years now. Civil war, people dying, families being displaced, jobs being lost, entire livelihoods transformed for generations, and a whole country that is ruled by people who don't care about their citizens. And so when I think about that, and I think about my personal problems about trying to get a baby or building my financial portfolio or increasing my skills, it's one of those balances of, yeah, I cannot go and look, even coronavirus, right? I cannot suddenly become a scientist now to cure the coronavirus. I cannot go to Cameroon and change the way things have been doing there for years. I cannot go and be president. Like, there are things that are just limiting, I say, our ability to want to make those transformative changes. But when you look at the impact that a country like America has on the rest of the world, it's clear that it's not just that there are individuals who, in this, groups of people who are standing up and taking action. And I wonder, my big issue is, I wonder, like, when we find out, and I say we as human race, individuals, particularly Africans, that we also have the capability to do those changes in the areas that are interesting, that we find valuable, whether it's financially speaking, whether it's relationships, whether it's politics, whether it's environment, whether it's ethics. And I find myself in this place where I look at the big picture of the world, getting messed up, and Chadwick Boseman dying of colon cancer at 40 something, and him suffering for all these years, nobody ever knowing that he was going, well, not nobody, but my wife cried. Like, I know people who felt personally touched, and I still remember how important it was for Black Panther when we're back in Douala, they're watching that movie, and how we waited to watch the movie in English because nearly every single movie, in fact, Black Panther was probably the only movie whose premiere was in English in Cameroon. And for many people, it doesn't mean, I remember trying to get into an argument with somebody because they were talking about something like, oh, Black Panther is, it's just marketing, and it's just people talking about just selling a dream to Black Americans and this. And I wasn't even in America at the time. And even now that I'm in America, it hasn't changed my perception of how much the media can affect the way people see. Because someone like my wife, what she would say is, when people watch Black Panther, they started understanding, like, oh, it basically gave people an opportunity to understand the other. And yeah, there's probably some aspects of it that is political and trying to put people down and trying to make them not think too much about their issues, but people need symbols. Christianity needs Jesus because he stands for something. And when people talk about Nelson Mandela, it's because he stood for something. People talk about Martin Luther King or Gandhi, it's because people stand for something. And I think when I look at this August, I don't even know how I got into this rant about Chadwick Boseman, but he stood for something. And yeah, Ryan Coogler stood, like, this. I guess my question is, what are we standing for? If we're only carried by the wind of change, if I only feel like I should be making videos when I feel, energized, or when I have an important message, like, how do I know if the message is important or not? I don't know until I put it out there. So the question, I guess, is what are you standing for? Because I'm tired, and I am tired of feeling tired, like, mentally speaking, stuck at home, feeling like I'm not doing enough. Someone I was talking with yesterday, a friend, was telling me, yo, your videos are really this, and you're a mentor to people. And I sat there in that moment, I was like, I'm no mentor. I am lazy. I don't create regularly. I don't put out content. I don't work hard enough. I'm not efficient. I sleep too much. I waste so much energy thinking about making videos instead of actually making them. And what do I stand for? Because when I think about unmet expectations of the month of August or the year or of a life, what we stand for tends to be the compass of where we're headed. Because if you stand for honesty, for example, the kind of people that you surround you are people who are honest. You want to build a community of people who are honest. You clarify that in your messaging, you clarify that in the way you speak to people, in the way you do things. If you want to build, if you stand for integrity, then the way you the things you do, the work that you get into reflects what you stand for. And maybe I just think too much. Maybe that's my problem. I think too much about things that I should not be thinking about, and I think too little about things that I should be thinking about. But I don't know. This whole channel is actually figuring that out. And the final message we want to talk about is about hope, because if somebody like Chadwick Boseman could make all the movies that he made while being sick, while struggling through those difficulties, it's not like what's my excuse. It's just kind of perceptive, because I don't like this whole personal development messages of get up, go after it, push your limits, hustle. I mean, I hustle, and I believe in the hustle idea of follow your dreams and do what you require. But sometimes it gets exhausting, and right now I am exhausted. Like, this is something that I'm very much aware of. Like, in this particular moment in time, I'm not able to disconnect. I'm not able to rest the way I would like to rest. I'm not able to, when I sleep, I just get, I get knocked out and I wake up. And if I sleep too much, I'm tired. If I sleep too little, I'm tired. And I feel like I'm gaining weight, so I'm working on my health. I actually just invested a lot in trying to get that sorted out. So I think ultimately, it doesn't matter what expectations we have if we don't have a plan. It doesn't matter what expectations we set for ourselves in terms of relationships. We don't have a plan on how to have better relationships. Financially speaking, if we don't actually break down the money, like, okay, I want to get this amount of money for this month. What will it take to actually get it? What are the steps I will take? If we don't break it down that way, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so unmet expectations of August are bull, basically. Because I know I did not take the steps to get there. And the cool thing is, the hopeful thing about this, what I really want to end this video on, is that we both know what we have to do to get the things that we want. And even if we don't know the things that we have to do, we also know what we want, and then we have to wonder why we want those things. Why do you want to be friends with somebody specific? Is it because you like their company? Is it because they boost you up? Is it because they give you energy? Or is it because you feel like you were both called to know each other and support each other and grow together and maybe die together? And I think the what and the why are super important when it comes to expectations. Because it's not just about how much money you want to make. It's like, why do you want to make that amount of money? What is your point? You want to get $1 million for what? Like, what do you want to do with the money? Is it just to have it and know that you've done it? Is it to take care of your family? Is it to show how you have money around the world? Like, why do you want to have it? And so, yeah, I'm going to end this video here, and I'm going to see you in the next one.